University of Missouri Healthcare knows you've got better places to be than in a hospital. That's where our world-class technology and highly skilled medical team come in. We get you home sooner. That's important to you and those who wait for you.
Rufus, guess who's home?
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Tuesday, August the 30th. Got a lady with us today. We go back many years. Sky Jimenez.
Hi,
welcome
Paul.
to Radio Friends.
Thank
Actually,
you.
you've been on Radio Friends, but singing. Didn't you? You were
Yes,
singing.
yes.
But you do Native American teachings, and we covered this a couple of times on Pepper and Friends years ago, and I thought this would really be interesting to have you come on Radio Friends. Let's talk a little bit, first of all, explain Native American teachings.
Well, before I do that, I always want to tell people who I am and who I'm not, because I am not a full-blood Native American person. I did not grow up on a reservation or with the teachings. On my mother's side of the family, we are Okla Chickasaw. But I was not raised in that because this is really sad. My mother was raised to be ashamed of being Indian.
She was raised to be ashamed of
it.
being an
And that was
Indian.
back in the time, way back. But one of the reasons I started sharing some of this with children especially was because I wanted them to be proud of who they were, whatever mixture they have. I mean, that's what makes us unique and special. And
Exactly.
So,
when did you start talking about the fact that you were part Native American or part Indian?
Well, I had an aunt who finally told me about it, and it's
So
interesting.
you didn't even know?
I didn't know, but I did a lot of things naturally that I was not taught that were very Native American, and it's something that made me kind of believe in genetic memory, And then when I found out that there was this heritage, then I had to go on my own search and find some teachings, and I began an apprenticeship with an Okla Choctaw man named Rainbow Eagle, and he is what we call a Seventh Fire Peace Shield Keeper.
What does that mean?
Well, that means he has been entrusted with something called the Anishinaabe Peace Shield. And it is really thousands of years old. And it looks very simple, but it's got layers and layers and layers of teachings. And peace shield or shields were often used for teachings because we didn't have computers, we didn't have books,
Right.
back then.
And with the Native Americans, everything has to do with the circle,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The circle of life.
The circle is a very sacred shape for Native people. And there's a wonderful quote from Black Elk Speaks, about how the birds, everything in nature is round, and how even the birds make their houses in a round shape. And we do the same, meaning the Native people, because ours is the same religion as theirs.
Okay. Now, you talked about the shield. And is this what I have?
This
the
is
shield?
what you have,
Okay.
yeah.
If you want to see what we are talking about, go to kbia.org, click on Radio Friends, and then the vodcast. And we have, this is the Sacred Shield. Well, this is a copy
of the Sacred Shield,
of the
yes.
Sacred Shield.
Yeah.
And it looks like a round circle.
And really, Paul, the only reason that I can share some of this now is that we're living in a very special time. This is what we call the time of the seventh fire. Because many years ago, Native teachings went underground because they were not honored, they were not respected, they were very misunderstood. And the prophecies said this is a time to, bring the teachings underground. And that there would be a sign for when teachings could come back out again, and that they would be needed and helpful in our society.
So what was the sign?
Well, interestingly enough, many people came to this country for religious freedom, right?
Right.
And everyone had religious freedom, except the people who were originally here, the Native Americans. They were not free to practice their religion until. Now, this sounds like yesterday to me. To other people, it's going to sound like, wow, ancient. But 1978, the Religious Freedoms Act was passed. And that was when Native Americans could again practice their ceremonies.
Do you mean to tell me until 1978,
Yes.
the Native Americans could not freely practice their religious ceremony?
Yes. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I was blown away when I learned that. So
Yes,
since
it does
then-
seem like yesterday.
Yes, it does, yes. So since that time, a lot of the teachings have been coming out again, and that's true in other religions as well. There have been new discoveries of scrolls, et cetera, in the Christian religion and Muslim religion, et cetera.
Okay.
So now we can come out with this shield, which, again, as I said, looks very simple.
If you'll go back to the shot of this shield, and again,
Yes.
go to kbia.org, click on Radio Friends, watch the vodcast, and you'll know what we're talking about. It's the circle, and you've got spring, summer, fall, and winter, right?
Well, the blue circle around the edge is called the universal circle of peace and harmony, and it is, the idea of this is that everything that the Creator created or had in the Creator's vision is in that circle. Everything from the past, the present, the future, people, animals, right? I mean, just everything in creation is in that circle. Nothing is excluded from that circle. And then you see in the center, there is a red circle that represents the Creator.
So that would represent God. Mm-hmm. And
God
everything goes through God.
And God is the center of all things. So God is the center, and everything needs to go through the Creator. So one of the things I thought would be helpful to people today is to look at the four directions here. For example, the north and the south and how they balance. Mm-hmm. Because everything is finding balance in our lives.
The north
So
is winter. It's winter, it's cold. The south is summer.
Yeah, right.
Hot.
But also, one of the representations in the north is the mind and thinking. People who are in the head, thinkers, rational, analytical, need to see it to believe it, kind of like Missouri, show me, And the gift of that is being, that way. But the challenge is that sometimes they can become closed in the heart. They don't, they lose their power of intuition and that loving power.
And that's where the opposite comes in.
And that's where the opposite is. The south is the place of the heart.
Right.
And feeling and intuition, and not as much in the head.
Right, going with your gut instinct, but balancing, going through the Creator balances it all.
That balance, because we need both of those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Sky, we're almost out of time, but this is such an interesting subject, and there is so much to it. It makes you stop and think and realize we all are interconnected.
Absolutely, and we are all looking for balance in our lives. And however you go through the Creator, whether it's a ceremony or being in nature or going to church, that's what helps bring us into balance.
If people would like to have more information, how can they go about this?
Well, they can contact me if they would like more information. And I don't know if you
want
to put a number on our website.
Can you tell us the number?
445-1949, which was a very good year.
1949. Yeah. It was 4 years after I was born.
It was the year I was born.
445-1949.
Yes.
Okay, just think of Sky's birthday, 1949. 445-1949. More information about Native American teaching. Sky Jimenez, thank you so much. Tomorrow, Columbia Art League and Department of Student Affairs. Our show directed by Travis McMillan, Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio, Pat Akers, KBIA. Floor director, David Ordway. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Watch this. Go to kbia.org. Click on Radio Friends. Bye-bye.